Welcome to episode 17 of Rivals, and in today's episode, we are of course back once again on Gran Turismo 4, where we're going to be tackling an Italian city circuit called Costa di Amalfi. This was again requested by Mueller Milch 245. This is actually one of the last requests he's given me for at least a while until his name shows up again out of the currently requested episodes. Speaking of requests, by the way, I currently have requests closed for Rivals because I just have a lot of episodes still that have already been set, and I do want to kind of get through those before I start taking more, just because there's just so many filled. I've also done the same with the Need for Speed Most Wanted mod showcase, because I have to go through over 230 different car mod requests, and honestly, I'd rather get both these lists shortened down before I start opening it up with requests again. So apologies, guys, but I don't want it to get too ridiculous, and to be fair, in both of these cases, they already are to the extent of it's pretty damn ridiculous. But anyways, in this episode, as I've already mentioned, we're going to be at Costa di Amalfi, and we're going to be, of course, on an Italian city circuit, driving Italian cars, specifically Lancias, where we've got the Stratos rally car, the 77, and the 92 Delta HF Integrale rally car. Now, of course, in the previous episode, I actually did drive the Delta S4 rally car, as seen here, but this time around, it's going to be swapped with the HF Integrale and we're going to, of course, have the Stratos as well. So it's going to be a pretty interesting comparison to see, exactly which of the two cars from their generations is better for a circuit like this. They're, fairly similar on power. The Stratos has slightly less power, but it also is lighter, whereas the Delta has more power, but is heavier. So, they kind of balance themselves out. And because I feel like it, I'm going to go ahead and put the best tires that I can put on these, because let's make things interesting, Because for a while I've been mostly kind of setting it for the medium of racing mediums, but today I'm feeling kind of curious to see exactly how these cars would do with the best tires in terms of gripping performance, basically racing super softs, or as I also like to just call them, qualifying tires, because let's be honest, that's kind of really what they are, because the super softs are extremely grippy, but do not have much for tire wear. Of course, in this mode, we don't have to worry about tire wear, so there's nothing to have to deal with regarding that. So that's why we are leaving it as is. Racing super softs, I believe, we're kind of a thing, and have been in the Gran Turismo games, I think since the start, actually, thinking about it. And, they were kind of like the answer for if you're doing a shorter track and just really need the most amount of grip out of your car for the means of tires. Super softs were essentially the best way to... excuse me one second, I'm just trying to adjust my headset here. It's the best way to get said grip. But the problem is that they're not very useful for endurance races, because whilst you will get a lot of grip and everything, the tires wear out very quickly. So that was kind of the at-fault issue with it. So they definitely were not something you would want to be going with. But despite that, again, we're not going to have to really worry about here. I remember Gran Turismo 5, the tires are in the game's code, but got taken out early on. And, of course, through the means of hacking the game with the likes of garage editing and whatnot, that became possible around 2012, 2013-ish. People discovered that super soft tires were actually, still in the game, and did make a difference to the car's performance, but it actually also was never designed to have tire wear. So if you were one of those little sneaky people who didn't suspect someone's car beforehand, before the start of a race, you could easily get away with putting super softs in a long race and then just blaze through like an online endurance and never have to pit. Of course, they would suspect something if you didn't pit to begin with, but or all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't meant to be for GT5 though. And if memory does serve me correct though, The super soft tires do actually return in Gran Turismo 6, and I do believe they're also in Gran Turismo Sport, though, of course, we've not been able to I've not actually tested them out. I could have had the chance to when they still had an arcade mode accessible, but in order to concentrate on other aspects, the update has now, disabled arcade mode, so it's just the sport mode for now. And yes, it's been over a month, and that open beta is, well, it's not an open beta, it's still a closed beta because it's an invitation only. That thing is actually still up. I really should be making some more videos of it, but I just really haven't. Again, I've been kind of on a huge mental burnout lately. There's just been a lot of stuff I've had to be working on, and it's just kind of all coming down to me at once. So it's just kind of put me in a bit of a hole. So I apologize for having kept you guys. Oh God, for ever keeping you guys waiting, but that's just been the situation. But yeah, the Stratos that doesn't seem to like that area particularly much. It really just likes to seem to get the tail out and start wreaking some havoc. And also, it's really hard with the way this PCSX2 is set up to try to use the right analog stick. I tend to like to use it more for PS2 racing games because again, it gets a better feel. But it seems like the area for the field of area is just way too small, so it makes it too difficult to get full throttle in many situations, which is really frustrating, but, what can you do? So I just have to kind of... So, I'm currently just switched now to the face buttons. I'm using a DualShock 4, by the way, because, I personally love the DualShock 4. It's a very nice feel in the hands. Everything's kind of put exactly where I want it, and I've grown up with PlayStation for essentially all my life, so having the PlayStation layout where you have both the left and right thumbsticks beside each other, the D-pad closer up top and separated, and then all the buttons, of course, to the right. It has that. It feels like it works, basically. Like, it feels like everything is where it should be. Like, I understand where a lot of people would tend to prefer having the thumbstick be where the D-pad is and the D-pad be where the left thumbstick is, but I've personally always liked it the other way. It just kind of feels like everything... I guess it's just because I grew up with PlayStation. One of my first proper experiences of playing games as a child was the original PlayStation 1. And, I kind of got used to that feeling of where the analog sticks is, so it feels natural to me, basically. And I must say, I'm doing pretty good here on this lap. This is a very solid lap so far. But yeah, so anyways, I've been talking so much about everything else that I haven't really talked much about the car. The Stratos is pretty good. It's actually more stable in most situations than I was honestly expecting it to be, but it's, you saw on the last lap, it can still twitch out because, it is a rear-wheel drive car, and, something with this amount of power and such a lightweight vehicle can make it, a bit of a tricky thing to get down, but it did pretty well, and I'm pretty impressed with its performance. A 158.5 is a very solid lap. I'm very impressed with that final run. That was very good. So I will definitely accept having a 1 minute 58.5. So that's going to be of course, the target time for the Delta to beat. And the Delta definitely has the one advantage in terms of the fact that A, it has more power, and B, it actually is also four-wheel drive, where instead of the Stratos, which was mid-engine and rear-wheel drive. So that was what really caused it to be, pretty slippery. But in the case of the Delta, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. And although I used the hood view in the Stratos, as you can kind of see, for whatever reason in the Delta, it causes some strange graphical glitches in PCSX2. Don't know why, but again, PCSX2 is not exactly still perfect yet. But we all use it because it is still the best PlayStation 2 emulator available. It has very high compatibility, and most games run pretty damn good. This one, despite some of the graphical issues, if you got good enough PC specs, which to be fair you do, the only downside is you kind of need a good computer for such games like this. But apart from that, it does run pretty damn smooth. That's why I've been using it for making these more recent Rivals episodes, because it's easy to just get it up an emulator, start playing, rather than getting the cables all set up in my PS2, putting the disc in, waiting for all that kind of stuff, and having to deal with slightly lower video. Well, I say slightly lower. It's not really. It's more significantly lower video quality. But at the same time, also on the console, you've got perfect compatibility because it was designed for it, and no weird graphical issues. And I must say right now, this Delta is solid. This thing really, really good. It feels sharp and smooth. It's not really trying to slip out on me. It's all nicely balanced. I really am liking the way this car is driving so far, I must say. I also remembered why I don't particularly always tend to use this camera, is because all the weird effect. Like, I don't like how the camera moves downwards when you put brakes on the car, because it's slightly nauseating. It looks very off. And of course, when you smack into anything, you get a huge camera shake, vibration, blurry effect, and it just looks ugly. I don't know what polyphony we're thinking. Maybe to possibly simulate some form of realism. I obviously don't know, but yeah, I'm personally not a big fan of it. But you can see, of course, again, going into this view, it's got the problem of, hey, it's got some weird graphical problems. But yeah, first lap was only a 1:59.7, so we're going to have to find some time if we want to get down to that 1:58.5 that was set with the Stratos. Of course, I have switched it to this camera because it just feels a lot nicer. No weird camera swooping or vibration effect. It's more solid and works a lot better. Much better to my eyes as well. Probably better to your eyes too. I wouldn't be surprised. Although I'm like a whole 7/10 down. Holy shit! Am I just not doing that well right now? Come on. And yeah, there's also a weird issue around these particular sections with this car. Some weird jumps. It's just this car, for whatever reason, just causes some weird problems on this track. I can't explain it. I don't know why. It's very strange. Not exactly what I wanted to do there, but I'll take it. Just, at this rate, I'm too far behind. Or am I? Apparently, I've now jumped in the first. Oh wait, no, sorry, that was short-lived. I'd have the ghost on, but well, yeah. Just the way I kind of said that kind of seemed like I was kind of jumbling all the words together, just trying to conclude it as fast as possible, And there's that graphical glitching again. I was really close to that turn. It's quite well. It's just a shame that my lap was worse. A 1:59.9. Wow, that's a bit surprising. I was doing some practice earlier when I was doing these cars with mediums, and I was getting better times with the Delta on mediums, but it looks like with super softs, the Stratos just gains a lot of extra grip. The Delta doesn't gain as much, so it looks like that lighter weight definitely helps out the Stratos in this particular case. But the Delta is more refined. It's not gonna slip out on you, so it's easier to get into and start driving and everything. But well, at least this time I'm actually kind of keeping it with my original time, so that's good. That was not the best, but again, I'll take it. And now again, apparently once again, I'm now behind my time. I don't know. Am I just finding my limit with this car or something? Try to let off a very slight bit. At this point, I'm just trying to keep myself. It's cheap, I know, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to beat that Stratos time. Not pretty, but it'll do. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! I was cutting that corner way too much that I clipped it. That's gonna kill some time and some brain cells probably. Brain cells of my own. I was really slow there, too, though. To be fair. So yeah, not exactly perfect, and well, yep, 159.4. It looks like if you really push it, you could probably get it close to that 158.5, but in this case, it looks like with the best tires possible, the Stratos is really your best bet, and I think it just comes down to the fact that it's such a lighter vehicle, and because it is rear-wheel drive, despite it being having a chance to slip up, it does have slightly. It does have better cornering capabilities because, the case with four-wheel drive cars is they can handle nicely, but most of them tend to have understeer issues and all that sort of stuff. So, in this case, the Stratos is the winner in terms of the time. Out of the two I drive, I would still go with the Delta just because I tend to prefer more stable cars, but if just because that's the kind of guy I am. But if I want a bit more fun, I would go with the Stratos. But so I'd say Stratos for the time and Delta for experience. But I would also give another one for Stratos just because the Stratos is more fun to drive. Yes, but anyways, that's going to do it, guys, for today's episode. There's definitely some more Gran Turismo episodes coming up. A lot of you seem to really like when I do these Gran Turismo Rivals ones. So that's why I probably got so many requested. But again, once I get through some more of these, I will open requests up again. But for now, I won't be taking any more. Apologies, guys. If you do want to check out what the future episodes are going to be, there is a link in the description to check that out. I will also, of course, leave the links in the description down below. If you want to check out my Twitter, and if you use Twitter, give me a follow. If you want to also give a follow on Twitch, I'll probably start streaming on there again. I expect, hopefully at some point, if I can remind myself to, especially now because of the whole Twitch affiliates thing, which I definitely would like to try to potentially get myself into. Of course, there's also my Patreon if you want to help support the channel. And thank you to the donators who have donated. You know who you are. Well, then again, you can also check the description for that. And as well as my forum board if you want to join that. And, of course, if you want to submit a clip to the highlight reel, because that's a thing I really like to push. I know it probably gets annoying hearing it. I'm sorry. I just really like it. That's also in the description as well. But in the meantime, guys, though, thank you so much for watching. And as always, take care.